Hello everyone and welcome to Exploring Tarot. My name is Sandi and this is the 5th episode of our deck study series where we are going through the Forest of Enchantment Tarot card by card, comparing it to the Rider-Waite-Smith and reading from the both guidebooks and just generally discussing the differences and so on. I will link the playlist up here for you if you want to go back and start from the beginning. If not, then let's just get cracking, shall we? So today we're going to go through the last 6 cards of the Major Arcana, and we are starting with the Tower, or the Folly as it is called in the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. Let me just adjust the lighting a little bit. There we go. Hopefully that won't show too much. I'm gonna try and not make it make it all shiny in the picture. But anyway, let's get out the regular Tower card as well, or the traditional one. So here we've got two, tower-like, or we've got the tower, the regular tower, and then we've got a tower-like structure here that's made from a tree. In the traditional tower, we've got a tower burning, this top of it being a crown, has just like flown off from the lightning bolt that's striking the tower, and it's on fire, and these people are leaping from this tower to presumably try and save themselves, maybe, or maybe they are being cast out of the tower. I don't know. But the tower in general means an upheaval of some sort, an event that is going to change things, and not possibly not for the better, but also it's not, I wouldn't call it certain. I would just say that it's a huge shake-up, is how I read it. But obviously that depends on the circumstance. If we look here to the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, we have this spooky looking tree house, or house made out of a tree. I see it almost like a fairy house, and the top of it has broken open, and out of it pours these black birds. They look like ravens to me, and yeah, it looks creepy and ominous and just all round bad news, doesn't it? So let's put this one to the side here and read from the guidebook. The Folly. Long ago, a wealthy man riding through the forest came upon the tallest and most magnificent tree he had ever seen. Feeling entitled to whatever caught his fancy, he claimed it for his own. Not content with nature's perfection, he commanded that the tree be hollowed out and carved into an elaborate folly. In his arrogance and ignorance, he refused to listen to the woodsman's warnings that the towering treetop was too slender to bear the strain. Fearing for their employment, the woodsman obeyed the cruel orders, though it tore at their hearts to do it. At first, the rich man and his rich friends were amused by the Folly's eccentric appearance in the solemn forest, but they soon lost interest and abandoned it. In time, the tree, dying from the inside out, cracked, and the Folly fell into ruin. A dead zone radiates from its roots, and no creature comes near, except a great flock of rooks that spirals up at dusk, harshly crying out their anger and their grief. The folly signifies the ending of indulgent and worthless vanities. This does not always feel good. Most radical changes disrupt one's equilibrium for a time. Step back and look at what you've made and how it serves you. What folly needs to be destroyed so that the true and beautiful can return? Meaning at a glance, destruction, ending the old way for the new. A bad idea reaches its inevitable conclusion. A closer look. A collective noun for a group of rooks is building. A building of rooks. What are these rooks building from the ruins? Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so let's jump straight into the tower from the little white book here, which by the way is from the Tarot of A.E. Waite, and it's written by Rachel Pollock. I will link any decks mentioned down below as well. Let's see if I can find this tower now. There we are. One of Tarot's prophetic level of great and sudden change. This is the climactic moment. What will happen happens here. The picture appears disastrous, even terrifying, as lightning strikes a grim stone tower and people seemingly are thrown from the high windows to what looks like destruction below. And yet, if we look at the symbols, the ultimate message, as with the devil, becomes one of liberation. The drops of light or fire take the form of the Hebrew letter Yod. Okay. The beginning of God's most powerful name. See around the rim of the Wheel of Fortune. Appearing also the aces of wands, cups and swords, the Yods, 22 of them, for the number of cards in the major arcana, represent divine grace. Not just the larger world, but in our individual lives we sometimes find ourselves oppressed, seemingly trapped. At such times we may need something to shake us loose, to free us, even if it feels like lightning has struck and everything has fallen apart. Divinatory meanings, upheaval, sudden change, a shock, also revelation, discovery. Okay. So, no huge differences here, I feel. We have both got the destruction part, we've got the ending of old ways to make way for new things, but I do still feel like the folly gives us a bit of a different take on it, in the sense that it tells the tale of this ignorant and vain and greedy man who hollows out this living beautiful thing for his own gain, and then he abandons it because he loses interest, and then it cracks open and dies, and it's like this tale of self-made destruction, but the man who did the destroying isn't even there anymore. He doesn't even care about this destruction having happened. And that brings us all kinds of perspective to dig through, I feel. And can give us all kinds of different interpretations of the cards depending on a situation in the reading. But also this this line here, step back and look at what you've made and how it serves you. So it calls to you to evaluate what you've done and what outcomes have come from those actions that you've taken. And yeah, I really like the write-up for this card, and honestly, I mean, the tower in all its glory, it's scary and powerful, but I feel really this card is just so beautiful, don't you think? If it wasn't a dying tree, I would love to live in it. Oh, anyway, let's move on to the next card, shall we? And that is Starlight, which is the same as the star in our traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. So this is quite a different picture here. I'm sorry if I'm stumbling over my words a lot today. I'm filming this rather late and I've had a long day. That's not an excuse. I should be filming when I'm more, you know, in my prime or whatever you should call it. But anyway, this was the only time I had to film this week, so what you gonna do? So back to this Starlight, the star. In the traditional card, we've got this lady kneeling down by this pond, one foot in the pond, and she's pouring out water from her 2 jugs here. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white stars and 1 big bright yellow one. In the back here we also see a little bird and a bright sky here. Now looking at the Starlight card, we see here 3 elves sitting in the trees, in the canopy. You can see here they're high up in the sky in the trees, and they're all 3 of them are looking up into the starry night and looking peaceful and wondrous. Looks like they're all just sitting there admiring the stars. And yeah, trying to look at any details I can see here. There's no little critters or anything anywhere that I can see. There's some tattoos here or jewelry, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward and quite a nice and simple image. So, the Starlight. If you walk quietly through the forest on a clear and moonless night, you may hear singing high above, where the treetops open to the vastness of the sky. There are groves of beech and linden that are much beloved by the woodland elves, who call them Elerina, crowned with stars. Close your eyes and listen to their ethereal voices. They sing of ages past, with laments for the fallen and exaltations of the illustrious. They sing of the patterns of destiny they perceive from the vantage point of immortality. They sing of the stars themselves, whose light still reaches us after their lives are extinguished. The elves sing of hope. Troubles and tyrants come and go, but the stars shine ever on. Starlight comes to reassure you that everything happens for a reason, even if you can't perceive it right now. Time and distance will bring the pattern to light. For now, breathe in the beauty of this moment and pour out your song upon the evening air. Meaning at a glance, undying hope, immortality, spiritual connection to the cosmos, destiny, cosmic connection, eternal mysteries. A closer look, Beech and linden trees are calming, peaceful and strong. The beech is known as the queen of trees. That's beautiful. The more I read from this guidebook, the more I really love Linnea's way of writing. It's just it just gets to me. So, the star. Let's jump over to Rachel's writing here. After the stormy tower comes one of the tarot's loveliest cards. This is the calm after the great change, the discovery of new hope, whether it comes after a drastic planetary shift or a personal upheaval, for example. There are still difficult times ahead, the wilderness journey of the moon, but the star tells us to trust. Unlike temperance, where an angel carefully pours water from one cup to another, the star maiden holds nothing back. The star number 17 reduces to 8, strength, a link hinted at by all the stars having 8 points. In her we find our inner strength and belief. In the tarot, as a book of changes, a guide to the challenges and lessons of the moment, the star teaches us to accept whatever is, to drop all our shields, to believe. On another level, the water poured out can signify healing, emotional, but also physical. Divinatory meanings: hope, oneness, especially after a crisis, renewal, healing, restoration. Right. So, the biggest difference here, I mean, we both have the stars, and they're all both talking about hope and moving on and being strong. However, the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith also talks about healing in a way that they do not mention in the Forest of Enchantment. Let me just double check that. No, they don't really talk about much healing. However, they both talk about, you know, taking in the moment, staying with strength and having hope, pulling through, and yeah, very similar cards, but again, the Forest of Enchantment does stray a little bit from the traditional depiction, and also a little bit from the traditional reading, adding to it the image of immortality and spirit connection to cosmos, eternal mysteries, and so on. I also love how they've included the flora aspect here, the beech and the linden trees, and what they represent. Yeah. I really like this card. Next up is Moonlight, which is the moon. Again, we have quite a different depiction here. In the traditional one, we've got a big shining moon with a man with a face in it. Again, we've got these things here, the little dots. Was it Yod that they called them in the Little White Book? From that, it's the same ones that we see in the Tower card. You can see them here. And we've got 2 towers or pillars on each side here, and we've got a wolf and a dog, and this scenery here with this path that's leading from the pond or the water all over and over the mountain there. And in here we've got a crayfish as well. In the Forest of Enchantment we see 3 hares and these symbols here reminding us of some kind of triple spiral almost. And this actually, if you look closely, you also see like the outline of some kind of ghostly hair here as well. And in the pond we have the reflection of the full moon, and this hair here has some very freaky eyes going on. He is properly staring at that reflection, isn't he? So the guidebook says, who dares go into the forest when the moon is full? Who would follow the luminous paths to the gazing pool? The forest is a different place by moonlight. What is familiar by day becomes illusory when the moon is full. The sounds of the night are eerie, haunting, filling you with nameless longing. Moonbeams sift down through the branches, silvering the sylvan glade. Hares go mad in the moonlight, wild with lunatic ecstasy. They dance and leap, then suddenly stand motionless, frozen, bewitched. They return to themselves when the dawn breaks, most of the time. It is said that those who sleep in the moonlight either go mad or become poets. The poet Byron wrote, "There is a dangerous silence in that hour, a stillness which leaves room for the full soul, to open all itself without the power of calling wholly back its self-control." Perhaps our lives are but a dream, and we are all as mad as moon hares. Even the most pragmatic cannot deny the magic of the night. When moonlight shines upon your reading, take it as a sign to let intuition rule over logic for a time. Pay attention to your dreams, which may be full of portents. Spend time outside in the dark with no intention or other than to be open to the mystery. Meaning at a glance, secrecy and mystery, the dream world, intuition, something is hidden from view. A closer look. How many hairs do you see in this card? That's really not fun. Oh, now when I look even closer, I see more. I see a face over here. I see another outline of a hair here in the water. Ooh. I'm going to have to look closer at this card later. I love these kinds of things that show you more the longer you look. Alright. Rachel writes about this card this way. The moon. The moon represents the wilderness, the uncertain journey between the calm openness of the star and the bright clarity of the sun. Under the moon's reflected light, psychic abilities awaken, but also fear and strange feelings. For the first time we see no people in the card, only animals, a dog and a wolf howling or yelping at the strange light, and a crayfish half emerging from agitated water. Here in unknown territory, our animal selves take over. We cannot suppress the wild emotions, but only travel through them. We cannot suppress the wild emotions, but only travel through them. In the tarot, as prophecy, the moon signifies the dangerous time between the end of one world structure and the beginning of another. On the emotional level, it can indicate the strange state when something powerful has ended and you find yourself thrown back on your instincts. The moon card calls forth other qualities as well: powerful dreams, visions, and the power of the feminine. Divinatory meanings: wildness, uncharted territory, strong dreams, psychic abilities. So both cards, or both card descriptions in the books, speak to intuition, mysteries, dream worlds, illusions, something that might not be as it seems, the moon taking hold of us in some way. The traditional card speaks about psychic abilities and how we move between different how we can be moving through different like states or worlds, and also this whole part about our inner animal instinct. I suppose we can also read that into this card here. However, they do not mention it much in the guidebook. It's just talking about the illusions and moonlight and hares staring at the moon, and letting our intuition rule over logic for a bit and being open to the mysteries of the world. Whereas this one speaks maybe more to I feel this to be also quite a psychological card, you know, with the whole animal instinct, trusting intuition, looking at things from different perspectives, because they might not all be what you think they are. That a situation might not be what it seems to be, or your first impression of something might not be correct. Yeah. Next up we've got sunlight, and which is then the same as the sun in the traditional Smith Waite. Again, very different cards. We've got a huge radiating sun, which looks quite bored, to be honest, if you're looking closely. And the sun here is shining down upon this happy child riding naked on this white horse. The child is holding this long flag with this red flag here, waving it around, and in the background we see these beautiful sunflowers peeking up behind this wall. In the Forest of Enchantment, on the other hand, we see this fawn, I think. Or is it, what can it be? It just calls him the Piper, but it looks like he is a fawn. He's sitting here playing his pan flute and looking at the radiating sunshine seeping through the leaf works in the canopy, and yeah, he looks very well at peace, sitting here just playing his tunes, watching the butterflies and the flowers. There's a bird up in the tree there as well. Yeah, it's a beautiful card. Right. The Piper comes to the gates of dawn. The new day awakes. The hush of a night is broken by birdsong. First one tender note, then another, then the whole chorus of joy. Flowers open their eyes, dew-damp ferns unfurl. The melody the Piper plays is a paean to life, both temporal and eternal. Can you hear it? Does your soul stir in the response to its call? Oh, the goodness that is in the world, the beauty, the grace, the love. This is the light that breaks through illusions. This is the force that initiates, sustains, and powers. Life-giving sunlight always finds its way through even the most tangled and forbidding of forests. When the sunlight blesses your reading, be sure to receive good fortune. This is the most positive card in the whole tarot, assuring you that all will be well. Challenges will be overcome, bright visions will come to pass, spells will succeed, and boons of all kinds are yours for the taking. Remember to be grateful. Meaning at a glance: happiness, well-being, growth, the warm glow of life. Things are better than you know. A closer look: Thrush and blackbird are singing the morning chorus. Primroses and celandines symbolize the springtime sun. Okay. Where's the oh, there's another bird over there. I wanted to see the second bird as well. Right, the sun. Under the moon, the world appears strange and mysterious. The sun brings clarity, simplicity. The animal self is now joined with the human, a mild horse carrying a joyous child, waving a red banner. Traditionally, the sun signifies rationality compared to the irrational, untamed wilderness of the moon. For the tarot as prophecy and in personal matters as well, this is the moment when a new world, a new life begins to take shape. The path becomes clear and we see what we need to do. The number 19 reduces to 10, 1 plus 9. The Wheel of Fortune for the great shifts in the world, but then reduces once more to 1, 1 plus 0, the Magician, sign of a new beginning. If we see the tarot as a book of changes, the sun tells us to act boldly with clarity and purpose, but also trust. Not the confidence of a warrior, but the openness of a child. Divinatory meanings, happiness, clarity, simplicity, moving forward towards a new life, good health. So immediately one thing stands out here to me. Nothing is mentioned in the Rachel Pollack writing about this being the best and luckiest card in the whole deck. We do have some similar keywords. We have happiness. We have well, that's about it. Then we have well-being, growth, the warm glow of life. The things are better than you know in the Forest of Enchantment. And here we've got the clarity, simplicity, moving forwards towards a new life. So, and good health. So, I mean, they're in the ballpark, but it's not quite the same thing, in my opinion. Here we have a card that speaks about sunshine and happiness and love and well-being. We're growing, we're moving on, or sorry, we are just glowing, and we should be grateful for what's happening to us. Whereas in the traditional tarot description, we've got signs of new beginning, we've got clarity and truth, simplicity, we've got rationality, which is not something that doesn't really get talked about in this description. They don't talk about the differences between the moon, where it was illusion and uncertainty and wilderness, and then in comparison to that and in direct opposite of that, we've got the sun, which is clarity and rationality and truth and yeah, so that's a really big difference here, I feel, and also something that you obviously can apply to this card as well. From the Rider-Waite-Smith, I don't say that, but if we are just going out, if we are just looking at what they write from the guidebooks, that's the differences that I can see here. And I mean, image-wise, both cards do, even if they depict two very different things, you do get, you know, the sunshine, the light, the warmth, the happy feeling from both of these cards. So yeah, right. The next card is the Council of Animals, and that one is the same as the Judgement in the Rider-Waite-Smith. And I mean, I don't think you need any clue as to which card I prefer, like card depiction I prefer out of these two. This card is just simply gorgeous. I love this whole image with all of the animals just looking at you with this intent, you know. It's very interesting. And in comparison, we've got here a very Christian image again, an angel blowing its horn, calling the souls up for judgment. And yeah, I've never felt very drawn to this card simply because of this. I feel I've felt, actually, if I'm not being honest, a direct aversion towards this card depiction, and I think that's why I haven't really gotten to know this card yet. So I can't say much. I mean, I know roughly what the Judgment card speaks to from listening and reading to others talking about it. But let's just see what the guidebook says here now, and we'll talk a little bit more after that. So, the Council of Animals. A journey through the forest can have profound meaning or be utterly meaningless, depending on what you bring to it. Intentions count as much as actions. Devious successes are far worse than errors made in innocence. The Council of Animals convenes at fateful turning points to evaluate the traveller's progress and rule in judgment for the future. Each council animal has its own unique wisdom, insight, and perspective. Each is authentically itself, and it expects you to be too. Don't ever think that you can fool the council or yourself. It is time for a reckoning. When you are called before the Council of Animals, it is a sign that you are ready to face some tough truths. Epiphanies are possible. You may begin to see a new purpose for your life. At the very least, you will come to know yourself better, toady warts and all. For more help from the Council, see the spread on page 206. Okay, that's good to know. Meaning at a glance. Judgment, assessment, self-awareness, forgiveness, atonement, enlightenment. A closer look. There are 12 animals on the council, and they change every 12th moon to allow for different points of view. When fish are on the council, the meeting takes place at a sacred lake. That's fun. Alright, so looking at the little white book, we've got Judgment. The title and the image of this card derive from the Christian idea of the Last Judgment, when the angel summons the dead from their graves, some to ascend to heaven, but most to fall into the pits of hell. As a result, many people find the card frightening. But if you look carefully, you will see that no one is being judged. They all open their arms joyously to the trumpet as it brings them from death to a new beginning. In the prophecy for magical times, this is the moment of true change, a new and more spiritual consciousness emerging from the wreck of the old world. This is the most populated card, 7 figures if we include the angel. The changes it shows affect everyone. When any one of us becomes transformed, the world around us, families, friends, even society, cannot help but change as well. Great divinatory meanings, great change, renewal, a sense that we are called to rise up and live our lives in a different way. Family or a relationship restored. Right, so we do have the kind of judging part here, but it's kind of what is calling to you in the traditional Waite Smith is a calling to level up, to transform, to change for the better, to accept the challenges and evolve. almost, and start a new life cycle, being a newer and better person. And we kind of get the same thing here, except for it's an assessment, self-awareness, forgiveness, atonement, enlightenment. So we've got roughly the same idea, but approached again a bit differently. So we've got these animals, the council, that judges your path and how you've behaved while you've been traveling through the forest. And I'm assuming then, you know, it speaks to you making an assessment of yourself, of your life, and what needs to be changed and what needs to level up, and are you going to take that chance and do that work. So yeah, very interesting. I mean, very different depictions, and the Rachel's writings about this card also kind of made me warm up a little bit to this depiction. Especially, I like the way she talked about how when we change, the people around us can't help but change as well. And I've noticed that personally lately as well, because I've gone through a huge change in the past year, going through a lot of tough times, and I've had some people not lash out, but having a problem with me leveling up, so to speak, with me getting through my difficulties and then finding new boundaries, creating new boundaries for myself in order to feel, to heal and to feel better. And these boundaries have obviously affected other people, and they have then in their turn had to start looking at their problems, and maybe they were not ready for that, but it still set some change in motion. So I really liked the description in the little white book there. And the last card of the day, and the last card in the major arcana, is the wide world, or just the world in the Rider-Waite-Smith. Here we have a completely different approach. In the traditional card, we've got this lady hovering in the air with two wands. She's surrounded by this laurel wreath, and she's got these animals here in each corner of the card. And in comparison here, we've got the white stag that we begun with at the beginning of the major arcana. As instead of the Fool, we had the white hart. Let me flip back to that just to remind you. So we had the white hart at the beginning of the forest, who led us into the forest, who beckoned us in. And at the end of the wild world, we've come through the forest. We've walked through the forest following this white hart, and now we are able to continue on our way and start a new journey, and basically begin the journey anew. Which is a beautiful metaphor here for the journey of the fall, I feel. So, the wide world, and here you are, back at the portal. The lessons of the forest and all your experiences therein have brought you to this place. The white hart is here, reminding you that enchantment doesn't end at the woodland's edge. In the forest, you can only see a little way ahead of you. In the wide world, you can see much farther. The sweet open meadows, the misty hills, the twisting roads, the vast sky, and the cloud castles. Other forests await with fresh visions and new challenges, stronger spells and greater boons. As a wayfaring animal said once upon a time, reported by Mr. Kenneth Graham in The Wind in the Willows. Take the adventure, heed the call, now, ere the irrevocable moment passes. 'Tis but a banging of the door behind you, a blithesome step forward, and you are out of the old life and into the new. One cycle ends and the next begins. This is a positive card, not a disruptive ending as with the Folly card. This is a card of destiny, following the counsel of animals where you assessed your progress and aligned it with your greater purposes in life. You've done what you needed to do, even if you are not completely cognizant of it yet. It is time to look towards new horizons. Meaning at a glance, completion, wholeness, seeing the big picture, connection to the world. A closer look, there is a sacred tour not too far away. Go there first and walk the spiral path to the standing stones. From there you can look back on your forest journey. Trying to see the tour it's talking about in the image. Oh, there are the standing stones at least. And that's the tour, I suppose. Yeah. Alright. So, straight into the guidebook here as well, just to see what it says before we start talking more about these cards. So, the World, the climactic card of the major arcana, also becomes the climax of the tarot as prophecy. Here we see the world restored, or as a new world fully emerged. The elegant dancer appears in the blue sky, as if our consciousness no longer needs the ground of our old beliefs and prejudices, what we considered reality. She dances in a wreath of victory, oval-shaped like an egg, out of which something truly new and wonderful will burst forth. The oval form also reminds us of the Fool, with this number 0 to symbolize infinite possibilities. Here we see realization of everything hinted at in the Fool, and yet, almost miraculously, the world does not limit us, but rather show us a life even more filled with potential. The figures in the corner may remind us of the Wheel of Fortune. There we saw strange cartoon-like forms along with mysterious symbols. Here everything has become realistic, understood in its full beauty. Alright, divinatory meanings. Success, satisfaction, a spiritual and practical sense of achievement, wondrous new possibilities. So, the descriptions of these cards are very similar, even though the depictions are very different. So they both talk about completion and wholeness and seeing a big picture, new possibilities. They both also do make references back to the Fool, here with the white stag having led you through the forest, and here with the wreath as the number 0, and just like the sense of having upgraded or developed in some way. And also they speak about the new possibilities, the wide open world, just like this one depicts here. You have the world at your feet, you can go anywhere and do anything and start your new journey. So I think that is a very beautiful way to end the major arcana here. Yeah, I think I don't have anything more to say at this moment. If you have any comments at all about any of the cards, please do not hesitate to drop me a line down below. I would love to discuss these cards with you and what you think. Let me also know what you think about this setup. I'm studying the tarot myself, this deck as well as the Rider-Waite-Smith, and I just felt like this was a really nice a way for me to read the books and be fully immersed and concentrate on what I'm doing, you know, to do it while I'm filming, and also to do it for all of you. Maybe there's somebody who needs who learns better when somebody is reading to them, for example. So let me know what you think. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me, and I hope that you are well. Please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!